Welcome back, fellow jazz bums. Today, we are going to dive into Sam Records. Before we get into it, remember to like and subscribe. We're going to drop a link to our Discord, so come and hang out with us there. And then also, we live stream every Friday, so come check us out there as well. With that, Felipe, take it away.
Okay. Hey, Mike and Chris, welcome back, everyone, to the channel. It's a video that's kind of overdue, right? We've been thinking about it to talk about Sam Records, talk about our favorites, a little bit about the label. Maybe could get deeper some other time. But Sam Records is a non-profit independent jazz label that was founded in France in 2011 by Fred Thomas. They're specialized in recordings made in France in the 50s, 60s. And Fred's idea came after an encounter he had with Nathan Davis in 2006. So he decided, release some of his work in a high level from original trusted sources. So for that, he got together with photographer Jean-Pierre Leloir, and their idea was to combine high quality audio source with high quality photography. Hence, the records they really show to that standard. They remastered from original tapes, everything pressed at the best pressing facilities in Europe. They use the original photos is available. Always make like little double inserts, small posters, and each record they do their best to quality check and everything. So it's a label that doesn't have like a huge number of releases, but they all at really high level, really great music. And today we're gonna explore a little bit more about them by going through our favorites and talking about their production a little bit more and everything. So for that, he relies heavily and a lot, and as many other labels that reissue French music, French-made music like Resonance, for example, ZEV, on the INA or the INA, which is the Institut National d'Audiovisuel, National Institute of Audiovisual. It was created in France in 1975 after a 1974 law. The idea was to conserve the archives of audiovisual materials, allows them to research, access to and professional training of everyone involved. They associated with the National Library of France. They have websites where you can research and check a lot of materials that were recorded in France, not necessarily by French people only, but whoever was in France producing music, art, audiovisual, and everything. So it's a great source for research of this material, and that's where a lot of archives that are used by Sam Records come from. And
it seems like there's like two tracks where Fred will look at reissues of titles that are generally pretty difficult to come by, often very expensive and rare. So reissues of those labels, and then also newly issued things from INA where perhaps it was recorded for French radio or just a studio session that hadn't been put out. And he does research, finds those, and then gets the tapes of those and remasters them and puts them out. So those are like generally the two kind of sources of the material for this series. And I don't think there's more than 30 titles in Sam Records. There's still less than 30, if I'm not mistaken.
And I think it's also a good reminder that that period, 50s, 60s, in France especially, as in a few other countries like Denmark and Netherlands, was a very like fertile ground for not only European artists, but for many American jazz artists that were just passing by or actually living there for many different reasons, right? That we know so well about. So there's outstanding music to be discovered, found, and still released and found.
Yeah, they had an audience there. After the jazz audience kind of dried up in America, it never did in Europe. So I got turned on to Sam Records probably the same time y'all did in 2020 during the pandemic. We just started hearing about them and the quality of the sound and the jackets and the record, just all of it's all really top notch. So I've enjoyed
this afternoon. This was the first one that came across my radar, and I think it was just the style of it, and then the jacket looks so beautiful that I dove into it and started researching Sam Records, and I started buying them then. They're they're great record label.
For sure.
Yeah.
We want to get started showing our current favorites.
Yes, I think the idea, right, to show our top 5 picks for many reasons, for the music or the sound or whatever reason you like.
Let's get into it. So for my first pick, I'm actually picking 2 titles because I think they're related. These are going to be these 2. So these are Donald Byrd and Bobby Jaspar, 1958. So this first one, so they were put out separately. These were both first released on Sam Records. So Donald Byrd went to Paris in 1958 to study with Nadia
Boulanger.
And and she is a famous music teacher, but also conductor. She worked at Juilliard. She worked also in the UK at the Royal Academy, as well as other places. She was the first female to be the conductor of the BBC Orchestra, also the Boston Symphony, as well as many others. And Donald Byrd went to Paris in 1958-59 to study with her, and he put together a group with Bobby Jaspar playing sax and flute, Walter Davis on piano, Doug Watkins on bass, and Art Taylor drums. So a pretty killer quintet there. And this is a live concert of them in Cannes, and this was recorded at the first Cannes Jazz Festival. It was the only one, but that's where this was recorded. It's really cool to hear Donald Byrd at this time period in France playing. And this was done in the summer. I think it was, in July. So he stayed there and he worked with this quintet throughout. And in November, December, French radio invited them to come in to record a studio session. And that's what this is. So this is the Bobby Jaspar, Donald Byrd 58 on Sam. And this is the studio session. So there's a live session from the summer and a studio session from the winter. They're both really excellent. I think they're nice companion pieces, but these are some of the cool things that, Fred is uncovering and putting out there. These are American musicians in Europe, studying in Europe and playing around Europe. But yeah, this would be my first pick in my number 5 spot.
Very nice.
Do you guys have these?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, they're great. I like those. I didn't pick those, but I like them for sure.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Donald Byrd on Sam Records.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there is. Yeah. I think at least 5, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah.
5, the transition, the 2 live ones, and these 2 ones. Yes, 5.
Oh, and worth mentioning, I believe, is these are, so Sam has at least this one series called the Lost Live series, and they're basically those INA recordings. They kind of fall under the banner Lost Live series, and there's a lot of them. I mean, I would say maybe like 40% of the releases are live, and I think a good chunk of those are part of the Lost Live series. So those are cool and fun to collect.
Absolutely.
I'm going to start by the very first one that I bought from Sam. Back in those days, those things would fly off the shelves and wait for restocks that would take months or even years sometimes. And that was my very first one that I had the chance to buy, the Ron Jefferson Trio.
Nice.
Very cool. Yep.
So Ron Jefferson is a drummer, so it's a trio, of course, with the Roland Hayes on bass and Buzz Saviano on guitar. So Ron Jefferson, he had one single record as a leader on Pacific Jazz in '62, and then he spent some time in France, where he was performing with this trio. And for some time, they had the chance to go to Senegal, Dakar, to play there. And when he came back to France, they had a very successful show at Palais de Chaillot, which is a big concert house there. So, and then after coming back, he felt the impact of this influence from the African music, Senegalese music. He actually brought some percussion instruments from Africa to play in this record. They also make a very nice combination here of vocals, drums. It's a very back to the roots kind of effort here. A very interesting combination.
Yeah.
Yusef Lateef a little bit. So, but this record sold like nothing. There was very few copies pressed and sold. Then he came back to America, where he was playing, performing regularly until he died in 2007. So this is remastered from the Mono Master tapes, the Ron Jefferson core, by the Ron Jefferson Trio, which is a very interesting exploration. The sound is outstanding, but most important, it's a really nice exploration here.
Yeah, I was listening to that when I was preparing for the video, and I think side B is just one like 25-minute track or something like that. I gave that a listen, and it goes, there's a lot of variety on that track. It's cool.
Yeah, they're all his compositions, including one is called Africa the Beautiful, which I think is the main piece here on side A, and he only goes to show how fascinated and happy he was to go back to this African style and incorporate into his trio. It's a beautiful record, beautiful record.
Yeah, I like that one a lot. I almost picked it, but I figured you would, so I didn't.
And Ron Jefferson plays a lot. I see his name pop up a lot on Pacific Jazz titles.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Definitely West Coast guy.
Well, my first one is Afternoon in Paris.
All right.
Asha Distel. Yeah, this is great. This actually was released in America too on Atlantic.
Yeah,
on Atlantic. It's got a different cover, but this is a really great reissue. So this one is these two guys with Barney Weiland, Percy Heath, Kenny Clark, Pierre Michelet, and Connie Kay. So a bunch of guys from the Modern Jazz Quartet. I don't really know the story behind this record, but musically it's freaking amazing. Yeah, I love this. This was the first one I got as well. Yeah. And I was just blown away, and it got me kind of hooked on Sam. Now, I want to talk a little more about the reissues he does. So this was on Versailles originally, as you can see here, right? He reproduces the photos, like Felipe said, wherever possible, or, gets the original photos to make the jackets. And they make these cool, like, European flip backs. And then the other part that's really neat, I think, too, with these is the labels. So they reproduce the labels too. As you can see here, here's like a Versailles label.
Yeah.
Which, when would you ever see that in America,
Yeah.
So what do y'all think about this record?
That was also my first title. I don't know. There's something like endearing about the cover that made me curious about the title, and just Afternoon in Paris, the whole kind of vibe of that really, I think, was something that attracted me. So I think I got that, and I used to like play it on like Sunday afternoons, and go get like some like Côte d'Aron wine and just kind of relax.
Yeah,
very relaxing session for sure.
Yeah, I think that's one of those great examples where the picture matches the title perfectly, and you know exactly what you expect when you actually play the record, right? I think it's good for the good and the bad, right? In a good and bad way, in a sense that it doesn't like surprise you, but it's a great non-surprise because you know the mood that you're gonna get. Say, I need this now. I'm gonna play, and it's gonna be be amazing.
I was just saying, another neat detail is they reproduce the liner notes, but they're in French. So
yeah,
a
lot of those, right? They do it in French.
Another thing about that title is when I got that after it sold out on its first pressing, and its first pressing was done at Palace in Germany.
Yep.
And when they repressed it, Fred switched to Optimal. And one thing just to note about Sam Records is there are a few different pressing plants that were used over the years. I think that he does not use Palace, and he may not use Optimal anymore. He may have pressed at QRP at least one title. I think I was doing some research, and I saw QRP on one of the hype stickers. And then now they're using a small outfit in Paris. And I don't have Felipe. Do you remember what they're?
No, I don't think it's in Paris, Mike.
Oh, it's not. Okay.
In France, though.
It's
in France. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's Bretagne or something. It's a little more center south.
Okay. All right. And there is a video on YouTube where they show the pressing plant and some of the titles, like the Shahib Shahab and the Heath brothers, I believe, were the first two to be pressed there, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
And they're a small operation, I think, with a single press, and I think they pay very close attention to detail. And that's really, I think, through some of the interviews that we've seen, Fred really wants low defect rates. He inspects every record that goes out. So if it's warped, I'm sure he's sending that back. So I think that probably played into his decision making. But this new pressing plant, I have the two latest titles. They sound, they're great pressings. Yeah, I think it's Garcia and Company, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think that's it. Yes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it seems to be a great plant. They're doing a lot of the lost recording stuff too.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
lost recording stuff. I want to give a shout out to Captain Phoenix. Everybody should check out his channel. He did an interview with Fred recently where he talked about that. And he said that the defect rates at Optimal were much worse than the defect. So
yeah, and I think his attention and care to detail. At the end of the day, regardless which pressing he's using, because I don't check pressings in my Sam records. I don't know where they were made, but to me, no complaints.
All of mine have been good. Klaus from Captain Phoenix, they did break some news in that video. Fred mentioned that they're going to release a Django Reinhardt that I think it's his only title that he did with Norman Granz, and I'm not sure if it's on like Norgran or Verve or Clef or one of those, but I think it's from 1953 or something, maybe 55. Oh, wow. I forget the year, so you'll have to double check that. But there are some additional things that were leaked during that interview at the end, so it's definitely worth checking out that video. We'll link it in the description if you want to.
Yeah, for sure. Great first round.
So what's next?
All right, next up, I listened to this today. This was so good. This was one, again, the first pressing was done at Palace, and I didn't think it was going to be repressed, so I ended up buying it from Japan for way over what what it goes for when you buy it outright from Sam Records. It did come back, and it actually is available now. And this is Clark Terry, and he's with Paul Gonsalves and a couple other guys. The story here is that this was October 1959. They went to the studio. They were on tour with Ellington in Europe. They broke out and went to the studio, and they did a session where I think there might be one Ellington song, but a lot of times the Ellington musicians, their kind of lead work, I don't know, like I feel like I don't see too many people talk about it or show it. This one though is particularly awesome. They do a monk tune on this, and they stretch out. I think like the first side only has 2 tracks. There's like a 12-minute track and like another long track. So it's not, your usual Ellington Sidemen stuff of the time. I have another Clark Terry with Paul Gonsalves on Argo from this time period, and they do like 6 songs a side. It's like 3-minute songs. That is not the case with this, and they really kind of crush it. I feel like Terry and Gonsalves trade lines pretty nicely on this, and this is a top one. And I just want to stress that I feel like Clark Terry doesn't kind of get his due in today's collecting. This is definitely one to check out. This is French Decca. It has a beautiful label on that, but the music's excellent. But that's the label there. So cool label. That's pretty much it. But this is a great one. It's available now. It's got the flip back jackets. And who else is on this? Does it have the full lineup? So Clark Terry, Paul Gonsalves, Raymond Fall on piano, Jimmy Wood bass, and JT Hogan on batterie, which is very cool. So so really nice. That is my number 4 pick.
Yeah. So it only goes to show I have an amazing taste, because it was also in my hands here as well.
Oh, nice.
Thank you.
Yeah. I ended up buying when it was repressed. Now, again, not going to show the Decca label. It's really, really nice, well done. The back cover here. Clark Terry and his bandmates, they were all in the Ellington band. It was actually his last month playing with Ellington. He would quit.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yes. Afterwards, and again, just Satin Doll by Buck Ellington, 3 of his compositions, and 1 by Monk, and 1 by Babs Gonsalves as well. Paul Gonsalves, he adds a little extra here to the session. I think complements really well the rest of the band, kind of escaping. It looks like, if you look at the cover, he's one of those going those stairs down the Seine, the river. Can go to the docks there. Looks like they're taking a quick escape and ready to go back, right? So it was an amazing session, one of my favorites, and to me, one of the best sounding Sam releases. This record is killer. I think.
Yeah. And this
If
might
you-
get you into Clark Terry because he's
Yeah.
got some really great records.
Yeah. So if you just want to pick a handful, this one you should get for sure.
Yeah, I don't have that one. I'm gonna have to pick that up. I don't know why I didn't buy it. I don't know.
It's
Well, once I
good,
see it,
Chris. It's
whatever
really
Yeah.
We'll definitely check that one out. I knew this was going to be in my top 5, like when we just first started talking about this video, and it's this Ron L. Bright trio
Yeah.
on Polydor. Yeah, 1958. And what's crazy is it's him. It's Ron L. Bright on piano, Art Morgan on drums, and then Richard Davis on bass back in 1958, which is crazy. But Ron L. Bright, he's kind of a not well-known guy. He had 3 records as a leader, basically. He went to Juilliard like back in the early 1950s, and then he played with like Carmen McRae and Rolf Kuhn. He did a record with him. Then he did some stuff with Dizzy Gillespie. I think he did spend some more time with like Sarah Vaughan.
Yeah.
You know, he did a little bit like a sideman. Oh, he played on the Super Sax stuff, which was like a session studio band back in the 80s or 70s. That was like a Charlie Parker tribute band. But that's about it. And he lived. I mean, he was 91 when he died last year, or in 2021. But this record is so good, man. I mean, just I just like his playing a whole lot. Just the way he plays is great. The drummer on this is amazing. Of course, Richard Davis is awesome too. But they play a lot of like bop tunes, like The Chant by Dizzy Gillespie. Doxology is a great track on here. R&R Groove, which is a tune that he wrote. Anyway, so yeah, this was on Polydor, like I said, in France, and it's my number 4. It's just a great record.
That thing sounds fantastic, and he swings pretty hard on that. Like it's a really fun trio.
Yeah, it is. I mean, you know, it's kind of unique too. I don't think there's a lot of trio records on Sam, so that's another reason I picked it.
My next one, so number 3 spot coming in is this Monk, and I think there were a few different releases of this. I think there was a box release that is long sold out. I think there's also a CD set you can get of this, if I'm not mistaken. And then there's just a single LP, which is this one here. So this is 1959. And the backstory on this is Monk's only record that was for a film. And when he was in Paris, he met this French jazz promoter, Marcel Romano, and he is responsible for setting up Miles Davis and Barney Weiland on the Lift to the Scaffold soundtrack, which is pretty famous. And Mark met Monk in Paris and got Monk to agree to come back to Paris and do a score for a film. In the interim, Monk got arrested with a drug charge and was unable to travel. So Mark set up studio time at NOLA Penthouse Studios in New York City. He sent Barney Weiland out, so Barney Weiland is on this as well. And Monk does a lot of his, I think they might be all like his standards. Like, yeah, he does a bunch of very familiar tunes on this. So, and this is awesome. This is a great record. I ended up buying this blind at a record shop locally, not really, thinking anything of it. And it really surprised me how much I liked it. So this comes in on my number 3 spot. I don't know if this is still available. I think you could definitely get it on Discogs. You might pay a little extra, but I don't think this one is actually going to come back in print. I suspect it won't, because this is also an INA, and I think Saga, it's SAGA, which is another label. So I think repressing this, it might be a little more complicated for Fred. But anyway, this is definitely one to check out. And
they've pressed that one a bunch though, right? Like,
well, the initial run, I think, was I don't know how many thousand, but again, there were like a few different pressings of this in terms of like a box set, a single. There might have been like a double or something.
Yeah.
But whatever one you can. I mean, I have the single, which is totally fine for me, but definitely worth checking out. And yeah, it's fantastic. So you have Charlie Rouse on here, tenor, Barney Weiland, tenor, Sam Jones, and Art Taylor. So absolutely killer. And 2 tenors on this, so it's very cool. And then here's the label. Yeah, so it's like this Monk signature thing. But yeah, this one, excellent sounding, great music, highly recommend.
Yeah, what's your number 3?
Okay, another overlap. Thanks, Mike.
Okay, what do we got?
I'm gonna have. I'm only gonna show one. The Khan 58.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So again, so the Khan is the one that has the black cover, right?
Yeah.
So as you said, it was recorded at first and only Cannes Jazz Festival in '58, which was the year that Donald Byrd was in France taking some lessons with Nadia Boulanger, and they put together this band with Bobby Jasper on flute and sax, Walter Davis Jr. on piano, Doug Watkins on bass, and Art Taylor on drums. And they made it to the festival, which was a 5-day festival. I mean, all the heavyweights were there. And actually, this band played on the 4th day, which was dedicated to modern jazz.
Mm.
I think the 3rd day was like Big Band New Orleans. The first and second day were more like guys like Ella and Duke and everything. And on the last day, there was like a wrap up, everybody playing. So, and they played on the modern day, which was the 4th. I pick up this session only because both records are excellent, but I like this session better. I thought it's more well played, a little more energetic. I don't know. I just like this one better. But the photography here is outstanding. It's amazing. Here's Byrd, Tiny, Byrd and Bobby. Here's Byrd and Bobby performing. All the photography by Jean-Pierre Lenoir. And here, a big one on the stage, which is also really, really cool.
Well, that's worth mentioning. So all of these Sam records come with these really nice photographic inserts.
It's like little double fold here. It's a great photography, beautiful, nice archival things as well. It's good to have. So one of my early ones as well. I truly love this one. It's on a high shelf for me. For sure.
Great pick.
Yeah, I mean, all these ones I picked are the ones I reach for when I want to listen to Sam record stuff, you know?
Mm-hmm. Oh,
yeah. That's why I'm very surprised I didn't pick the Ronald Bright one, because I do listen to that one a lot. That is a great one that you picked, Chris.
Thank you. Yeah. All right. Up next for me is this.
All right.
Nice.
Live in Paris, Nathan Davis with George Arvanites Trio. It's the ORTF recordings. This is from A&A as well. This is a 3 LP set. It's 5 sides, so I believe the last side is it's blank. But to me, and this was in '66, I believe. I can't see. Yeah, 66 and 67. So what's great about this is, for me at least, I enjoy this record more than like all the Donald Byrd stuff. I mean, I like the Donald Byrd stuff, but to me, and where I'm at in my jazz listening right now, this is more interesting, I guess. Does that make sense? This has been repressed several times. I think I've got 2 copies for whatever reason, but yeah, this one's highly recommended. So,
nice. Oh, yeah.
You'll have this one, right?
Oh yeah, I should have this one. Beautiful, beautiful record, Chris. I think it's one of the favorites for most people that like and have Sam records for sure.
And that, I think the first track on that is the Hip Walk, which is, they just reissued the Hip Walk, Nathan Davis, the studio version. So he's playing that, a different version with George Arvanites on it, which is really cool. That is a really great record.
That's MPS, right?
Yeah. What is it?
That's MPS, right?
Yes, that is MPS. Yep.
Yeah, if you had to choose between the 2, though, get the Sam records is way better.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And that one comes back in print. So if it is out, that has been repressed multiple times. I think I got like the 3rd pressing one. So I would imagine that he'll probably keep that in print.
And those are available at many different stores. Maybe if you just search now, you're able to find it.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. One thing real quick, I was going back to that Ronald Bright. Some of these Sam records, like, they were really sought after when they came out, especially like in 2020, and they were almost impossible to find. They were going for big money on Discogs and all that shit. You can get a VG Plus copy I saw of that Ronald Bright for $25.
Yeah.
On Discogs. So, like, you know, they're not insane anymore like they were for several years. They're definitely affordable and available. So
yeah. All right.
Right.
And it's also worth noting, just because you showed that Nathan Davis, Chris, since that's a 3 LP, that one is a little bit more expensive. I can't remember what the price is. It may have been
I paid
like
59 for it. I think I got it from Mike at the end.
59. But like the regular LPs, they're 30 euros on the Sam Records website. And I think when they come to the US, they're available at like Acoustic Sounds and the In Groove, and I think they're around like $40 after
35, 40 bucks.
everything. So they're right around the same price point as the the reissues from Blue Note and Kraft.
And I think they're every bit as good as those two.
I agree. Yeah. Well, the other thing is, like, I would not know about these records if Fred didn't. I mean, one, like, I definitely wouldn't know about the uncovered live recording stuff, but even the reissues, because they're already so rare in Europe, they're extraordinarily rare, elsewhere, North America. So I think that it's kind of fun that he is, that he's been able to kind of open the doors to some of the European labels and some of the great late 50s, early 60s titles, because for a lot of collectors, that's a great time period to listen to jazz.
Oh yeah, for sure.
No, I totally agree with that, and I think that's part of the attractiveness for me is the twofold thing, because I buy a lot of the stuff that Zev puts out because I love the lost live recording thing, because we talked about this before, just trying to capture the energy of a live jazz show is really special. So that and then the reissues, yeah, man. I mean, you're never going to see these things in America. I mean, the Afternoon in Paris is kind of an outlier because they issued it in Atlantic, but like, good luck finding that Ronell Bright trio somewhere. I mean,
or that Clark Terry. There's just no way.
No.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, my number 2 pick. This one is excellent, and this is still in stock. I'm pretty sure it's still in stock on the website and probably at other online sites. I don't know why I'm not focused here, but anyway, this is Billy Harper at Antibes 1975. This is a little bit more out there stuff, but not totally crazy, and it's so fantastic. I was trying to decide like which of the later stuff I wanted to include, and this one I just felt like really spoke to me. So this is what's cool about this is it's 1975, and it was recorded live 2 days after Billy Harper's first record on Black Saint. So he recorded this, which is a really excellent record. Very well regarded record by Billy Harper.
Is it the exact same lineup? I know some names overlap, but I don't know if
Let's see. That's a good question. Let's see. So we have.
They both have Joe Bonner on piano, which I love him.
Okay, so we have Billy Harper, tenor sax and cowbell. Solid. Virgil Jones, trumpet. Joe Bonner, piano. Dave Friesen, bass, and Malcolm Pinson, drums. So 2 days later in Antibes. Oh, geez. You know what? The lineup's not on here, so I'm not going to be able to check it. Actually, hold on. You know what? I can check it. Let's go to the website. It's right here. So you can see it is in stock. And a lot of the titles we're showing are in stock. Not all of them are, not the entire catalog, but there's a lot. And we have Virgil Jones again, Joe Bonner, Dave Friesen, Malcolm Pinson. So same group,
yes.
Yeah. So same group, and it's cool to hear the studio kind of session, and then 2 days later when they play live, they're real tight and they're real out. Like they even like push it further than that Black Saint title. So anyway, so it's a really fun way to get into Billy Harper, and that Billy Harper Black Saint, like Chris said, that's a really expensive record. So the Sam Records might be a fun way to get into that quintet during that same time period. So definitely worth checking out. And like, one thing that I've discovered is there's a lot of kind of out music or like avant-garde style music that is really challenging to listen to, but there are certain times where it's done so well and so fun and engaging that it really pulls you in. And I think this Billy Harper group does that. So even though it's a little different than some of the traditional stuff, if you're looking to explore, something that's a little different, this is an excellent one to check out. It's one of my favorites. So this is my number 2 spot.
Awesome, great record.
Ooh.
What's your number 2, Felipe?
My number 2 could be number 1 because I think it's the one I listen to the most. It's by this quintet here.
Okay.
So in 1957, right, Barney Wiley, he was like riding the wave. He had just won the Django Reinhardt prize. He had just recorded La Sensible de Chauffeur with Miles. He also recorded the Liaison Dangereuse with Thelonious Monk and Art Blakey. And then he writes himself the soundtrack of the movie Un Témoin dans la Vie, which is A Witness in Town. It's a movie by Eduardo Molinaro from 1959, starring mostly Lino Ventura, Sandra Milo, and Franco Fabrizi, most like Italian cast. Here's the back, really nice cover, and it has Barney Wiley, Kenny Clark, Kenny Dorham, Paul Robert, and Duke Jordan. It's an amazing group, and the reason I picked this one, I did not pick the Miles. I just like the music better, the presentation. I think it just so brings it to the mood of this movie, right? With a classical, typical film noir about a guy that kills a woman, and then the husband kills him, and then there's a whole witnesses, right? The witness from the title sees the crime happening, and they go after him. So it's really, really fun, interesting 1959 movie. And I think this music here relates to the movie and translates the whole environment, the whole vibe of the movie so well. We just feel like stuck in. It's really good. It's an amazing photography cover as well. So it's a 11 out of 11 here. This record for me, I truly love it.
So that's a 10-inch.
It's a 10-inch with the Fontana label, just like the Miles La Sensible de Chauffeur.
Yes,
Yeah.
very neat. I don't have that one. Do you have that one, Mike?
I do, and I listen. Yeah, I really enjoy that one as well, Felipe. And it got me to search for the movie. And I didn't watch the entire film, but I was jumping around, and it's so like I was familiar with the music. And then I think the first scene is, I guess, like the main character walking out of a courthouse or some like government building, and you hear that first track kick in, and it's like almost surreal because I was familiar with it, and now you're seeing it like in like the movie. So it's really cool that he goes back and he finds like those noir soundtracks that have a jazz music for it. So it's a great one. Definitely one to check out.
All right. So anyway, so my number 2 is this brand new one, Heath Brothers.
Oh, nice.
All right.
Yeah, I think this matches up kind of well. I mean, it's not like out there like the Billy Harper, but it's just more modern music, and I really enjoyed it. We got Jimmy Heath on sax and flute, Stanley Cowell on piano, Percy Heath on bass and cello, and then Albert Heath on drums. So the Heath Brothers, obviously. Really exciting music, really kind of, late 70s post-bop sounding music. Another really cool thing about this is it came out kind of close to the same time as it was recorded close to the same time as that Strata East record, the Heath Brothers record. It's super expensive. And so this is a good way to kind of hear that band without paying a bunch of money for that Strata title.
Yeah.
What do y'all think about this one? I know y'all got this one because we all bought it at the same time.
Yeah. I liked it. I like this one, Chris. I haven't explored much compared to the Sahib Shihab, but I think it's a great session. I mean, the sound presentation, the sound quality of this record is great. And it's a later Heath Brothers record. Really good.
Yeah. It's a good transition because I'm up next, and that took my number 1 spot.
Nice.
I feel like this one hasn't been getting much attention because the conversation around the Sahib Shihab one or Sahib Shihab, that's fine. But this is, like you said, Chris, essentially it's a Strata East session. So the Heath Brothers, billed as the Heath Brothers, this was kind of their first recording session. And that happened because the Charles Tolliver and Stanley Cowell put Strata East together. They connected with the Heath Brothers and wanted to put some of their stuff out. They liked Stanley Cowell so much that they brought Stanley Cowell into the group. And this was, I think, their first like recording together as that group. And then they put out Marching On, which is the Strata East title, which an original of that is like $400 or so. It's
right.
Like just insane. So anyway, this is awesome. The Heath Brothers have such a great history. I kind of fell in love with them from their Riverside work. Jimmy Heath led a bunch of records on Riverside, from smaller group, quintet, sextet stuff to bigger, like octet, no net, maybe even bigger stuff than that. And all of his stuff is good. There's a few tracks that he does that have become standards, and I love that Riverside stuff that they're on. So their Strata E stuff is, I would love to get that title, but this is really excellent. They're a great group, and not only that, but this thing like sounds really good. Like this is a great sounding record. Really jumps out of your speakers. So this is definitely one to check out. It's in stock now, and don't sleep on it, because everybody's talking about the Sahib one. This one is definitely one to look at as well. It's really, really strong. And yeah, it's from 76, obviously. Oh, one cool thing on this is that Percy's bass was a bass with a cello body that was made by Ray Brown. That's what he was carrying around Europe with him.
That's cool.
And there's other cool stuff too, to dive into this record with, but a very cool one. And so one thing is, like, as we're showing these records, there's such great stories behind all of these. They're obviously great listens, but like they're just great histories too. So it's really fun. And actually, like, a lot of the information I found through online sources, and Fred does a really good job at giving some summaries of kind of the historical context of why he thinks these are important to put out there, and he sets them up really nice. The that Thelonious Monk one, all that history that I learned about, I think was from, it may have been like a Fremer review or something, where he goes into history of how Bobby Jaspar was flown out to New York to play with Monk on that session. So there's, he's picking, great titles that are really fun to dive into with obviously some of the best musicians ever. So, so this is my number one pick. It's really great. And it also, this is one of the newer ones that I picked up that I've been really excited about. So that's also there. The other thing is, like, I can't wait for Fred to announce like another title, because I essentially buy everything he does. So this one is good. Don't sleep on it. Check it out.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, it's so good. The telltale sign for me of a record's really good when I buy it. I've listened to that thing 4 times already.
Yeah.
In a lot of records I'll listen to them once, twice, and then they disappear for 6 months or whatever. But that one, I haven't even listened to the Sahib Shahab yet, because I've been listening to that one so much. So
that one is really good too. That one's good too.
Yeah.
They're both.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I think the Sahib has a great sound, but the music is not. It's okay. This one has better music, and the sound is as good as. I think that's the one to pick from this last batch that we got.
Yeah, I would agree with that, even though I haven't heard the other one.
Yeah, there are better Sahibs out there. Anyway,
what's your number one?
Let's go to my number one, which has already been shown. Okay, I'm not very creative apparently, but it is also, I think, but to me this is outstanding. It was the first I was buying Sam records. We were kind of used to that kind of sound vibe, but when I got this thing, it was like, what the heck is that, right? It's just so different. It wasn't my first contacts with Billy Harper, actually. And this is like the inner sleeve, the way it comes. I think that this painting is like a watercolor, whatever they are. Beautiful. They also come on the center labels.
Yes.
Okay. And this record is outstanding for many reasons. Because of capturing the moment. The Black Saint album had just come out or just been recorded, right, Mike? Because this is a live session, and there's such an environment. So it comes with a really nice 6-page booklet with the contact sheets with a lot of pictures. They went really deep into writing about it. So there's a good story behind it. And Antibes is a really interesting city. It's right between Cannes and Nice. It's in the very French Riviera there, close to Italy. And it's a very Roman area. So there's a lot of Roman ruins there, aqueducts, forts, and a lot of that stuff. So there's the whole environment there for, and outdoors in the woods. So I feel that compared to Black Saint, which is a studio recording, here they push the boundaries a little more. So more open, freer session. And it just goes to show, how advanced they were in terms of like explorational sounds. And this band is so tight. As I said, I really love the playing of Joe Bonner piano. Every time I find a Joe Bonner record, I go get it because I really like his style. I think he adds a lot to the mix. And to me, this was no brainer. This was my favorite pick from all Sam's. That's the one I go back the most for sure.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, it's no surprise here. It's been a
Oh,
while.
right. Okay.
Yeah. Mike is an embarrassment for not picking.
I put it at number 2.
All right.
We basically
yeah,
swapped.
I mean-
Chris and I swapped our number 1 and 2s.
Yeah, I mean, what can you say? This and the Heath brothers, Fred, if you watch this, put out more stuff like these two. Sure.
Yes.
I love all your records, but these two are
Yes.
just outstanding. I mean, just to echo what y'all said, it's like, free playing and kind of crazy, but it's
Mhm.
totally listenable and it's just a barn
Yeah.
burner, it's just fiery, hot music. So,
Mhm. Oh yeah.
Have you got any honorable mentions, anyone?
I have the 2 honorable mentions. Fred has put out 2 Jeff Gilson records. And Jeff Gilson's a band leader, I believe, from Paris. And his records, he's on some Palm records, and he's also on some reissues that I think it's like SPF is the label, and those are Fred only pressed 1,000 of those. I've always wanted one, but I don't know, maybe he'll repress them. He did for the Clark Terry, but as we were reviewing as I was preparing for this video, I actually pulled it up and I found a copy online for $40. So I was like, you know what, on Discogs. So I was like, I'm getting it. So that's an honorable mention. It's a big band group: Woody Shaw, Nathan Davis, Michelle Portal, and like a bunch of other folks on there from, I want to say 1965. And it's a great session. So I'm so happy that I was able to find a copy. So that's an honorable mention that may have made my list if I had it here. And then a second honorable mention is that Ronald Bright trio. This really, I just didn't have a spot for it, but this one it sounds fantastic. It jumps out of your speakers. It's really, really, it swings hard. It's a great record. So this one is definitely one, if you can grab this one for sure. And look at that cover. Fantastic cover.
Yeah, it's a great cover.
Right?
I mean, if you're not into like the 70s stuff, then I would pick that one up. It's so good.
Yeah, it's really good. And I do listen to this one. I do listen to it a lot because it's just so easy to put on and just relax too. So it is really good.
Now, how do you know that the other one is an honorable mention and a great session if you haven't heard it yet?
I've streamed it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. You got any honorable mentions, Felipe?
Sounds great on Bluetooth, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so it had to be mentioned, right? It's one of the first ones I think everybody bought as well. And this is such an outstanding, historically important, and a badass and everything, kick-ass record. It has to be shown, like La Sincère pour l'échafaud.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The music here is so compelling. Miles would go to the movie to play, and people would go there to see him playing, not because of the movie necessarily. And there's always he would play to the movie, and this was another film noir, and that's I think that this picture translates so much of the atmosphere of the record, the music here, and of course it has Barney Wiley playing with the band, with René Autreger, Pierre Michelot, and Kenny Clark on drums, who recorded many sessions with Bud Powell while Bud Powell was living in France. Some of his finest work was with this trio, Pierre Michelot and Kenny Clark. And here we have these 4 guys playing with Miles. It's outstanding. It's one of the best music, to me. It's so appealing, so beautiful, so sets the mood, everything. This record had to be mentioned, I think. There's no way.
Well, I almost consider that one like an obvious number one that none of us picked because it's obviously awesome. You know what I mean?
Yes.
The crazy thing with that Miles, he watched the movie and just played along with it.
Yes.
Like he composed the soundtrack and built the soundtrack while watching the freaking movie. Like,
talk about improvisation. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Right. Yep. Oh yeah.
I got some honorable mentions here.
All right, what do you got?
Got a bunch, not a bunch, 3 or 4. So one of them was one Felipe just showed. this one was like probably number 6 for me. Felipe already talked about it, but then this is another really, really good one. It's kind of chill and relaxing. Jess are saying it's Milt Jackson, Barney Weiland, Percy Heath, and Kenny Clark. Highly recommended.
Yeah,
that's on the Phillips label. Cool Phillips label.
Yep.
And there's 3 of these, I believe, that he's put out. If you're a Chet Baker fan, these Chet Bakers on Barclay that Sam put out are fantastic. I just don't listen to Chet Baker that much right now. And I love Chet. I've probably got 20 of his records, but maybe more. But I'm just not kind of in Chet Baker mode right now. But yeah, these, if you're a Chet Baker fan, you could do a lot worse than buying the stuff that Sam's put out, all 3 of them.
Yeah. Well, I got those at the same time, Chris. Those 3 along, and to my experience, the one with the worst cover has the best music.
Which one's that?
Usually you go for that dark with a blue picture. That's not so good.
That one has Bobby Jaspar on it too. That's why I don't. I have the one that Chris just showed.
The yellow one is the best.
That one he does all standards on it too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's volume 2, I think, of the 2.
Yes, I think the playing is more inspired. It just sounds better too, but I think I like the performance better on this one.
And that's just a quartet, right?
It's Chet Baker, Gerard Gustin on piano, Jimmy Bond on bass, and then Bert Dowlander on drums.
Yeah, it's a great record.
Yeah. And that from what I remember, there's a really beautiful studio sound to that record, like a natural reverb that captures like a time period. So it's definitely a mood setter. That is a good one. Yeah.
But they're all good. I mean, I don't have a bad Sam records that I just hate.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and they're like I do have other honorable mentions. Like there's a Lester Young one that came out with a
7-inch.
Or like a 10-inch single side or something like that.
Yep.
And then there's another Nathan Davis called Peace Treaty that is fucking awesome.
I don't have that one. I need to get that one.
That one has Woody Shaw on trumpet, and it's totally a Nathan Davis record. But like when Woody comes in, his horn sounds incredible on it. So that's great. And
you have an estimate of when that one was recorded?
Which one? The Nathan Davis?
Yeah.
I want to say. Let me see if I have it here. But like I had to pull out every Sam title and really kind of start like making like maybe, definitely, no, and then like I started moving them around because I could only pick 5.
It was incredibly difficult.
Yeah,
for me to pick.
Funny that we picked a lot of the same ones though. I think that's interesting.
Yeah.
So this is the Peace Treaty one.
Yeah, I need that one.
Yeah.
It's on SFP. And it is 1965 originally put out. So I'm assuming the session was probably 64, 65. But yeah, it's got this guy Rene Ertriger. I'm probably messing up his name. He's a piano player. I love when I see his name on stuff. He's a great piano player. Jimmy Wood.
He was one of the early ones.
Yeah.
Very, very good piano player.
But that's the other thing is like when you get some of the early reissue, or not, this isn't even that early, but like when you get the reissue Sam does, you start seeing some of the French players, and you start getting familiar with them. And then there's also like the crossover players like Bobby Jaspar and Barney Weiland.
And Kenny Clark, dude. Kenny Clark's like the Ron Carter of drums in Europe. I mean, he's on so many European records because he left early and just stayed over there forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, cool. It's been fun. I mean,
yeah. So thank you for sticking with us. Let us know what your favorite Sam records are. If you're just getting the Sam records, are there any that stand out that you want to get? Let us know what you thought about the conversation. Like and subscribe. Hang out on Discord. Check us out on Friday live stream. All that stuff. Any final words, guys?
That's it. It was fun to revisit. Kind of walk down memory lane and maybe re-listen to some of those.
Yeah, absolutely agreed.
For sure. All right. See you guys.
Bye.